Hello, midlife learners. Today I want to talk to you about how you can use Google's Notebook LM to better understand the sources that you're reading for your classes or the sources that you've found for a paper that you're writing or some sort of project that you're putting together. First, I want to show you an example of this. I'm working on a final project for one of my classes, and I had 36, actually more than 36 sources, a lot of studies, articles, journal articles, things like that. It's a lot to get through. And probably 6 or 700 pages worth of stuff. And I sort of wanted to get a sense of the themes so that I knew what I was looking for before I really dig into the papers. So I put all 36 of these sources into my Google Notebook LM, and I asked it to create a podcast for me. Now I had to run out the door and go pick up my kids at the bus stop. And so I only had about 10 minutes. So I dump all these PDFs in. It took a while to make sure they were all uploaded. And then I went over to this part of the side. There's an audio thing. And I put in a prompt. And let me see if I can show you the prompt. So I put in a prompt here. Focus on what the sources have to say about the following 3 topics. These are the topics that I'm talking about in my paper. And so I don't want to know what the sources have to say about everything. I want to know what they have to say about the paper that I'm working on. So that was my prompt. And then I hit the button to have it generate a podcast for me. And within about 10 minutes, it had created a podcast that I could then download and also just have in the app on my phone and listen to in the car. So it was great because I could really understand all the sources in a quick and simple way. And I'll just play you a little sample of it because I just think it's so amazing that it could do this in 10 minutes.
We have this tendency to anthropomorphize artificial intelligence. We give it a name, a voice, we even ask it for advice.
Right.
But at the same time, we hang on to this idea that at its core, it's just math.
A calculator.
Exactly, a calculator. It doesn't have a favorite color, it doesn't get hangry, and it definitely doesn't have an opinion on social issues.
So they went in and I mean, it was a computer. In 14 minutes, it really just downloaded the topics and gave me some ideas for ways that I can bring those pieces into my report that I'm working on, and just some new ideas that I can go, some new rabbit holes that I can go down in my research. So let me show you how you can use Notebook LM for your sources. I've got this is just a blank Notebook LM account. So this is if you're just setting it up, you go to notebooklm.google.com, and this is what you're greeted with. Pretty simple, but create new notebook. There's also create new up here. And once you have more notebooks, that create new button in the upper right stays there. So that's where you'll look for it. But you can create a new notebook, and I don't usually use the search the web for new sources box, but I just take my files that I have and plunk them in there. So here's a study that I just came across that I might want to add to my report. So I dropped it in, and it's adding the source, and it's going to create a notebook for me. So this one's an untitled notebook, and then it'll give it a name usually related to the topic, but yeah, right now it's still untitled notebook. So I'm going to call it new study for my paper. You can call it whatever you want. I usually label things, the class I'm taking, the project I'm working on for the class, that sort of thing. So now you can do a lot with this, but today we're going to talk about just the podcast. So I'm going over to the audio section. Now, if you just click on it like that, it'll generate an audio podcast. And this is usually pretty sufficient. This is usually what I use. But if you go to the pencil, you can sort of dial it in. So you can do a deep dive, you can do a brief one, a critique. This is maybe more useful if you're really digging into the academic side of things, or a debate. So that's kind of interesting. As I pointed out earlier, sometimes I go in and I tell the AI hosts to focus on specific topics, and that's where it goes in this box. And then you click generate. And it usually takes about 5 or 10 minutes, and it'll generate an audio overview. So I will give this a second and come back when it's generated. Okay. So I'm back, and I want to say it took about 5 minutes, give or take a minute or so. So not too bad. And this was on one source. It can take longer for more sources, but it's usually fairly quick. I haven't had it take more than, I would say, 10 minutes or so. So let me go to my screen share. And I can see it down here. I don't know if you can see the play button, but there's a play button hiding back here. And I'll just play it so we can hear what we got.
You know that feeling, that specific low-grade anxiety that hits whenever a massive new technology drops.
Yeah.
You're walking through the office or maybe scrolling through LinkedIn, and you just get this sense that, I don't know, that everyone else has already figured it out.
The professional fear of missing out, the FOMO. Yeah.
Exactly. It's that sinking feeling that you're falling behind.
I love it. I haven't even listened to this yet. It looks like it's 17 minutes long. I can't wait to listen to it. So, as you can see, it's pretty darn cool. And I just want to remind you that if you have an iPhone or an Android, Google Notebook LM has an app for that. They also have them for iPad, and you can listen on the go. So, if you're commuting, picking up your kids, doing errands, or anything like that, working around the house, it can help you recapture some of those little chunks of time if you don't feel like you have time to get through all the sources that you're trying to read for a class. It can help you make use of little bits here and there, and it's pretty darn enjoyable. So, if you have any questions or suggestions for using Notebook LM, let me know in the comments. And otherwise, I will see you later, midlife learners.